7. We want to work on H. We know this has to be done. First, Article 7H about evaluation,
I'm sorry, about,
the evaluation and notifying new employees and other employees about the methodologies of
Okay.
that. The first sentence, we like principal and or district personnel because it won't always be the principal, so on the, on the second sentence, say principal or designee.
Instead of district personnel?
instead of district personnel?
The second sentence.
second
Second sentence says the
Okay, I'm
principal
sorry,
shall
gotcha.
fully explain, and it's not,
Got it.
we may go around.
Or
Or
designate.
designate.
Right, it doesn't even a PowerPoint presentation. We want to say shall explain the requirements,
Got it.
because if you explain the specific requirements, it could be a 3-day course.
And but specific
Yes.
is, I mean, what specific do you, you know, it's just,
You know what you want, to everyone be fully informed of the process
Right.
before the showtime begins.
Right, okay, read me your sentence then.
All right, the principal or designee
Yes.
shall explain the requirements as they relate to the evaluation instrument.
Okay.
And then if you could send me like this in Word so that we can
Yep.
strike through it.
Sure.
Oh, we've explained.
And then on K, that same article 7K, can you explain what I'm not understanding the way it's written? For all assessments used in the calculation of teachers' evaluation scores for both teachers' evaluation scores, for both teachers, students, shall be scaled using the same measure. Is there too many words in there?
Okay.
Teacher evaluation, teacher evaluation.
Wait a second. I think, yeah, okay, should be for all assessments used in calculation of teacher evaluation scores.
it should take the S of evaluation. It should just be evaluation.
Correct.
Okay.
All assessments using capital teacher.
For both, yes, I think it's just,
I think it was for both
the
teacher evaluation scores,
yeah,
for both teacher and,
for all
Teacher.
assessments used in calculation of teacher evaluation scores. For both teachers and students shall be scaled using the same measure. So,
What are you saying? This is what I'm asking. What are you saying? What,
What problem are we trying to fix?
problem
Or
trying
address.
to fix.
Okay.
Or address? And we can,
Students that took district tests,
EOCs.
EOCs, if they received a 1, that would be a failing grade. They were scaled so that they were now passing grades.
there aren't any district EOCs, there are the state EOCs.
No,
The
but like,
district-
I have a high school student that's my daughter, and she took, human anatomy and physiology. There's no state EOC, but she still had to take a end of course that was a
So
teacher
it
created.
was a
Okay, so
teacher-
created,
sorry,
okay,
sorry,
sorry,
teacher
Susan,
created
teacher
end
created.
of course.
So she wouldn't have made a 1 on that.
if she would have made a 1, they are scaled so that it brings their scores.
You got to.
Basically, it's like an old system of curving the grade.
Sure.
And so her 1 now became a 2, and they all got passing. And students ended up jumping grades from an F to a C.
Scores. I think it just got, as if it said double.
So then the way the eval system is written, the percent of those students, whatever percent of those students who got that passing score, that was the percentage that was put into the eval system.
But their
So
grades,
how are we scaling? I mean, if we're scaling,
but
you
their
know,
final
if-
grade is recorded, right?
sure, that scale grade is recorded.
Recorded, correct.
So then it's positively impacting the teacher anyway, because now I've passed the test. It counts toward proficiency
But
for
we're
my
talking
eval,
about
so why am I scaling my
No,
eval?
no, but that's not the problem. The problem is like, so Jamie Davis gives stat 10, she can't scale her stat 10 scores, that is what it is. How is that fair to the rest of us that are not allowed to scale scores?
But that's not what this is saying. You're saying if the student's scores are scaled, then the teacher's score has to be scaled for the eval. But I can't make that connection, because that has nothing to do with Jamie. I mean, if your
Right.
scores are scaled, then I'm not gonna say, okay, let's scale Jamie's scores, but
Right.
your score. I mean, you have
No.
a student whose score is scaled,
Mhm.
it counts toward that teacher's eval, so I just don't understand the second part. You know, because now I'm passing, my score's improved anyway, so it's positively impacting me anyway.
We're gonna pull it,
Okay.
and the reason.
I just didn't understand.
No, it,
I understood it completely different than any of you.
yeah,
okay.
because I had it from my understanding, since, was if there was a situation where a test score was moved up like your daughter's, okay, that the student benefited, but the teacher did not benefit from
The
there.
teacher would have benefited if my.
That's the
my
whole,
That's
score-
our- right.
that's our
That was not how it
point.
was explained to us.
Well,
Alright, so it's
wait.
pulled, right?
But there are some teachers who, on EOCs, not teacher-given EOCs, that that their students received a 2 or a 1, and basically by the cutoff then are now bumped up, but yet their grade entered into, that scales into their final grade as their exam grade, put into their report card, now says a 70 or an 80 or a 90, which doesn't, or an 80% or a 70%, which does not equate to a level 2. Am I right? It was scaled in their grade, but yet the teacher now still has level 2 that is hurting against them.
For.
I could print the report cards for you.
Because when the results, my understanding of the results coming back from the state, the BAM scores, if I'm a 1, I'm a 1. If I'm a 2, I'm a 2. If I'm a 3, I'm a 3. There's
Yeah,
no
but two-
scaling to BAM scores coming back.
I'm telling you, scores are being put into the report cards. A level 2 who is passing is given a 70-something on their report card for their exam grade. And then another level 2 student is given a 60, whatever. It's not equating equivalently on the teacher's evaluation because they're still getting level 2s.
When the scores come back from, and I don't know about report cards, okay? When the scores come back from the state, if that child has a BAM score of 1, that BAM score of 1 counts toward that teacher. If it has a BAM score of 2, it counts to that BAM score 2 counts. If it has a BAM score of 3, and there's nothing that we can do about, we can't bump a BAM score.
But students are failing the class, and then their score, their 2, has now bumped them in as a 70% as their average, and it's pushed them
But the
into a passing grade.
70% is not the BAM. We don't convert a VAN, we're not allowed to convert a VAN score to a percentage. The VAN score is what it is. It's a 1, 2, 3.
I'm well aware. But they average into the students' grades, whether a 30% average into their grades or whatever, and they're
But
not
that
matching up.
doesn't average into this, that doesn't, I don't know what happens there when it gets to student grades and report cards.
That's what we're
But
saying,
I-
they're
I
not,
know,
they're not the same.
But I know the VAN score doesn't change
I
for
agree.
eval system purposes.
I agree, that's
Damage
not what
as
there's,
well.
that's not what I understood by this, was that the percentages are being pushed for students. Basically taking them, some of them, many
Well-
of them from a failing grade up to a passing grade.
But we cannot push the percentage, we can't change the VAN score. The VAN score is what it is. If you have a VAN score of 1
I
and
don't know
the
how to
state,
say it any different.
and I do understand what you're saying now. You're saying if the child's score was improved, then the teacher's score should be improved.
Well, yeah, because it took them, where I evaluated them personally as, from my formal and informal assessments, evaluate them as not being proficient, and then their score that gets added in now says they are proficient, but yet my evaluation is bumped down to their level 2, which is still not proficient. There's no connection with that.
If the state sends us a VAN score of 1 or 2 or 3, that VAN, by
And that's what
law,
this is saying, the
by
student
law.
scores and teacher
Okay.
scores need to
by,
be,
by
scale,
law,
so-
okay, by
Okay, I
law,
know where we're
we can't change a VAN score.
Okay. Okay, we will revisit 12, okay.
I had it
We'll
all.
reword.
Darn.
sorry.
Sorry.
Well, it's pulled and we have something else to
Yes,
replace.
we'll fix the place.
What's after M? We'll just keep-